Hello, Bond fans, and welcome once again. So, you know, there was a time where the Connery name was so popular that you could literally have given a role to Sean Connery's boot in a film, and as long as you had that name up on the poster, people had probably come to pay and see it. Around the time of Goldfinger and Thunderball, Bond mania had well and truly swept the globe. Thunderball, until Skyfall, was the most financially successful of them all. Merchandise was selling like hotcakes, Sean Connery couldn't go anywhere without being mobbed, so it was only natural that everyone wanted a little piece of the James Bond action. Movie spoofs and imitations, of course, rose in popularity around this time, but as much as they tried, there was always one key ingredient to the 1960s Bond formula that could never really achieve, and that was Sean Connery himself. However, there was one movie that got at least half of the Sean Connery name by casting his brother, Neil Connery, in the main role. And so, OK Connery, aka Operation Kid Brother, aka Operation 0007, aka Secret Agent 00, was born. And as you can tell by my face, this is not a prospect that fills me with great joy and anticipation, but let's not be so hasty, let's not judge an obvious cash grab by its rip-off front cover. Let's dive right into the film, shall we, to take a look ourselves. This is OK Connery. The film opens with the studio logo. Ah, yes, Titanus Films, that well-respected film production company. So we get the credits and instantly recognise a surprisingly large number of names in them. I mean, Daniela Bianchi, Adolfo Celli, Bernard Lee, Anthony Dawson, Lois Maxwell. They really went all out with the casting in this film. It's a veritable reunion of Bond supporting characters. Why not throw in Desmond Llewellyn for good measure? It's kind of hilarious that Lois Maxwell once said that her and Bernard Lee got paid more for being in this film than in any of the official Bond films. Which I guess explains how the producers were able to assemble such a great cast. Literally just keep throwing money at it until it relents. The credits play over a montage of gorgeous girls doing stuff on a boat to a Shirley Bassey rip-off song that I like and find hilarious in equal measures. The singer is really giving it her all, but it's so funny how she increases volume and speed at certain points. It's almost as if she's being electronically operated by a dial that would overload if you pushed her too far.
He thrills me, he kills me, he gives me the feeling maybe it's love. He charms me, deserves me when he looks in my eyes and tells me it's love.
Come on, Mr. Bond. A 70-year-old can take 3 Gs.
Well, the trouble is there's never a 70-year-old around when you need one.
Anyone can see he is the man for me because he holds me, he wants me, he is the only one I ever fell in love with, head over heels like a falling.
And then I equally love the breathy, slow moments where it's like she's literally out of breath. Was this whole song recorded in one take?
It seems to be the one for me, the one for me.
He fulfilled me. He loves me. Anyway, right off the bat we see a man in a plane with a box. Sinister music plays and the man snarls, so obviously he's a villain, right? I mean, look at this guy. You couldn't ooze villain more if you tried. Anyway, enough of that because I want to see dancing women projected onto the back of other women. What? Which is apparently the favourite pastime viewing for Adolfo Celli's character in this film, while having his back shaved? What is okay, up next is an incredibly long gratuitous scene of Celli strutting around his boat to some bombastic music, ogling his crew of lovelies and blowing smoke in their faces. We see Lois Maxwell loitering around the airport. In this day and age, you'd be arrested for that sort of thing, as she appears to be waiting for that sinister plane man to touch down. Okay, he's gonna try and kill her, right? Assuming she's a good guy, of course. Well, anyway, shit kicks off, prompting some gun action from dear Lois. Chili drives a car into the sinister man's plane. Oh, so I guess he wasn't a villain after all? We see the agent is dead and his little box is scooped up by none other than Daniela Bianchi, who is looking absolutely beautiful in this film. For all of this movie's immediate failings, it does provide the viewer with a hell of a lot of eye candy. Bianchi's character, Maya Raffis, is in cahoots with Chelly's Mr. Thayer, who, after confirming that they have the box, proceeds to further strutting around his lair to bombastic tunes. It must feel so cool smugly strutting around a place to bombastic music. I must give it a go myself sometime. Anyway, next scene we're introduced to the supposed star of the movie, Neil Connery himself, playing, well, a character called Dr. Neil Connery.
Gentlemen, here we have a practical example of the theories I have illustrated. 2 weeks ago, the patient you see here, Miss Yashuko, sustained first and second degree burns on her face, as shown on the slides. They called me here from Edinburgh last week.
Edinburgh, eh? Oh, well, it's so interesting. I didn't realise they had an Edinburgh in California. Yeah, so Connery is dubbed throughout this whole film by an American guy, as apparently when it came to the final dubbing process for the film, Connery himself was recovering from some kind of throat surgery? So it's obvious how much quality control they're throwing at this one when, you know, they couldn't wait a couple of weeks for the star's voice to heal.
This experiment requires the outlay of a great deal of energy.
Why don't you try it?
No, not the young lady.
Excuse me, Doctor. I really thought that I was just whispering.
Actually, it's my fault. I didn't hear you, but I am capable of lip reading.
Lip reading? In a film as badly dubbed as this?
डॉक्टर माफ कीजिए मैं पूछना चाहता हूं कि आपके ख्याल में यह बहुत ही न्यायिक और हिप्नोटिक एक्सपेरिमेंट यहां और अब हो सकता है?
Good luck with lip reading that, mate. So yeah, this scene establishes our star as a plastic surgeon, hypnotist, lip reader. No, definitely gonna need more than that to get through this movie. The Japanese lady is Miss Yashuko, who was the girlfriend of the agent murdered in the plane, and everyone is out to get her for some reason as a fight breaks out. I love how no one in this room knew what was going on, but they all start brawling at the first possible chance anyway. Even Dr. Connery gets in on the action.
You did an interview in which you said, it's not the worst thing to slap a woman now and then. As I remember, you said you don't do it with a clenched fist, it's better to do it with an open hand.
I haven't changed my opinion.
Lois Maxwell ends up with Yashuko as Dr. Connery flirts with Bianchi a bit.
This man is dead.
Yes, unfortunately, I found myself distracted. So I used the sublime atemi. It's fatal.
The sublime atemi? Well, that sounds like a Harry Potter incantation. Sublime atemi! A long and largely pointless scene at an auction house introduces us to Bernard Lee's character, Commander Cunningham, and Agatha Florey as...
Great as usual. This is Commander Cunningham. Mildred.
Mildred?
Mildred.
I was expecting something glamorous and foreign for a lady that looks like her, but anyway, okay, Mildred. And we're also introduced to Anthony Dawson's Alpha here. Meanwhile, Yashuko is kidnapped again, and Dr. Connery meets with Cunningham and Maxwell. By the way, when I say Maxwell, I'm not referring to Lois herself, but rather her character's name is Miss Maxwell too.
You're the brother of our top agent.
Wow, quite literally Operation Kid Brother then. Dr. Connery is reluctantly brought on board the mission to find Yashuko and extract information from her. Meanwhile, at a Spanish castle, we come to learn that Anthony Dawson's Alpha is head of crime syndicate Thanatos, while Thea is Beta. We learn here that the villain schemes to acquire the world's entire gold reserve. Surprised we haven't seen a villain called Oddball turn up yet.
Oh, by the way, I've an important piece of news for you. Cunningham is going to try to pull something in connection with the Japanese girl. He's enlisted the aid of that young Scottish doctor. You know, the brother of Secret Agent 00...
Yes, so I've heard. A most disagreeable family.
We have a very long, sprawling scene where we establish another of Dr. Connery's skills is archery, and that despite several kilts appearing in this scene, there isn't a single Scottish accent to be found. Connery meets with Thea, Maya, and Mildred before reluctantly whisking off to Malaga with Maxwell.
I've some good news. We've traced the Japanese girl. She's in Malaga.
If you mean you want me to go with you to Spain, I can't accept the invitation.
But it's a quick trip and pleasant.
Sorry, but I won't play any spy games.
I love how much of a romp spying is made out to be in this film. It's like, yeah, why not go on a mission to Malaga? It's a lovely place, you know, have a few cocktails, bang a few ladies, kill a few bad guys, prevent total world annihilation. You know, it's a pleasant trip. Getting off the plane to some kind of impromptu Woodstock concert, Dr. Connery again meets with Mildred, who it appears from that costume is on a break from filming The Hunger Games, before travelling to a bullfighting ring to find Yashuko dead.
But this is not Yashuko.
What?
She's a double, I tell you. A good double, but that's all.
Are you sure?
Positive. I know her pretty well. I've operated on her face.
I love how Dr. Connery is very specific, repeatedly, about how he only operated on the lady's face. Not abdomen, you know, not arms, legs, back, you know, anything else. It's very specifically, he operated on her face.
But what have you lost this time?
Oh, I've lost my lighter.
Oh my god, this is the third scene in a row we found this woman on her hands and knees looking for something that she's lost on the floor. Go to Specsavers, love. You're worse than Velma from Scooby-Doo. Dr. Connery hypnotizes Mildred into revealing the true location of Yashuko. You know, all this mind control and hypnosis stuff, it feels like the younger Connery is really overcompensating. His older brother never needed to use such contrived techniques to acquire information. He could just turn on the old Connery charm and women would tell him anything. Evidently, the young Dr. Connery is lacking in one vital older Connery quality, the magical penis. Yashuko, it turns out, is being held captive and tortured by coloured lights. Oh, the horror! Oh, make it stop! Make it stop! She's being tortured by a character called Lotte Krayendorf, who was obviously intended as a role for Rosa Kleb's Lotte Lenya, but I guess maybe they couldn't afford to pay her enough, or, you know, maybe Lotte Lenya does have, you know, have something called artistic integrity. Connery and Maxwell, who is kicking ass in this movie, by the way, look how she handles that machine gun. The pair rescue Yashuko, and Connery extracts from her that Thanatos is intending to steal an atomic nucleus before she is killed by Mildred, much to the incredibly muted and mild annoyance of Dr. Connery, before Mildred is then killed by Bond's ally. You'd think this would be a good moment for some remorse, but no, let's just step over the bodies, pretend they're not there, and carry on with the exposition. Jesus Christ, even the older Connery wasn't this bad, and you only lived twice. A very subtle outfit there, Maya. I'm sure no one will see you with this kind of concealment. What happens next is one of the most batshit crazy scenes in the film, as Maya and her band of can-can dancers hijack a truck containing the atomic nucleus while dressed as... what are they, badgers? What the hell is going on here? Wait, what? Okay, we're just gonna move on as normal from that? Really? We're not going to acknowledge how bad... Okay, fine, let's move on. There's a lot of talking here, and I honestly lose what's going on in the plot. I get that Thanatos wants gold, and they have an atomic nucleus, but now they're going on about a giant magnet? I guess it's basically an electromagnetic pulse, but before such a term as EMP was coined. I trust that GoldenEye was not referencing this film when it featured an EMP in any way. Dr. Connery is sent to Tetuan in Morocco to try and find a rug factory where all the employees are blind, and are suspected of building a giant magnet. Oh, how I wish I was making this up. Well, for all the film's faults, they didn't hold back on the travel budget. In Morocco, Dr. Connery meets with Maya, who invites him to a party held by Thea.
Have you forgotten that you still owe me a date?
Don't you think it's too risky? When we're together, someone always gets killed.
That makes it all the more exciting.
Dr. Connery, how dare you forget your Hippocratic oath? Some doctor you turned out to be. At the party, we see our hero donning his brother's second-hand suit as he meets with Mr. What the... Oh my Blofeld, what is Adolfo Celli wearing? Jesus, even Goldfinger wouldn't be so audacious as to wear... I mean, what is that? I don't want to get too hung up on this, but look at that thing, it's like a gold-encrusted moo-moo. Oh, and as if this plot wasn't convoluted enough, we have another layer of exposition here that the Doctor lip reads about Thea planning to assassinate Alpha so he can be head of Thanatos. Ugh. While Dr. Connery decides he wants to save Maya from, I don't know, evilness, so tries to persuade her over to the side of good.
It's going to blow up soon. Maybe even tomorrow. With you on board.
You read too many novels by Fleming.
Keep your voice down, will you? We're treading a fine line of legality as it is. It's around this point I completely lose perspective of everything that is going on. Some submarines set sail, and Dr. Connery pretends to be blind to get into the rug factory, but to Connery's credit, he portrays a more believable blind man than his brother did a Japanese man. Connery spies around the place and finds the radiation area, where blind people without radiation suits are being forced to work. Connery is super nonchalant about this and manages to easily and hilariously instill a revolution amongst the workers.
You're working with radioactive material. It will kill you.
What is it that you mean by that?
You are working with radioactive materials. Do you understand? It will kill you.
They're trying to murder us. That is why we have the swords. We must go.
Connery is found out and captured and is forced by Thea to hypnotize a man and operate on his face so that he'll look like Alpha? Oh, it's all getting a bit Diamonds Are Forever. Meanwhile, there's mutiny on the ship as all the women begin dispatching of the seamen. Ooh, matron!
Now go.
You gone mad?
What the hell? You mean to tell me Thea didn't think that Dr. Connery might hypnotize the guy for his own means? Even by supervillain standards, that's pretty damn stupid. It's at around this point I'm missing Bernard Lee and Lois Maxwell's presence. They haven't been in the movie for a while, and when they are, they bring a pleasant warmth and familiarity that distracts from how batshit crazy everything else in this film is. Like, point in case here, I mean, look at this guy, the guy that Dr. Connery hypnotized. He's like hell-bent on, like, ripping Thea apart, but in such a hilarious way. It's really cartoony. There's a hilarious fight scene, and Thea escapes to Thanatos headquarters and does away with Alpha to become head of the organization, while Dr. Connery and Maya, who is now a good guy apparently because she doesn't like double-crossing or something, they arrive in Switzerland and are met by a band of Scottish archers. Oh, my brain.
Hey, there he is. Hey, how are you, fellas?
What's going on, Neil?
Go on now, John.
How does it happen you asked us to come so suddenly? I mean, what's going on?
If it's for a championship, we're all for it.
You organized a tournament?
Well, what's cooking, Neil? Come on and tell us. Give us the dope on it.
I'll send word to you all at the Hotel Continental when everything is ready, all right?
Okay, this film is giving Casino Royale 66 a run for its money in the Crazy Town department. It's pure insanity at this point, but besides everything else, I just can't get over the fact that for a film making constant references to the Scottish and Scotland, how the hell do they manage to make a whole movie without a single Scottish accent? I mean, what the hell? Literally, a dozen Scottish archers and not one Scottish accent? Do the makers of this film even know what Scotland is? But, oh wait, there's more of Adolfo Celli in a preposterous costume to keep us amused. I like to think this is the actor's own personal wardrobe. Even in Thunderball, that wetsuit he wore at the end looked pretty ridiculous. The man just doesn't look good in anything outside of a suit. Okay, Dr. Connery and Maya infiltrate the cave lair and kick some ass before Maya flies off to contact London.
I want to speak with London, please. It's terribly urgent.
London in England? How do you expect to do
On
that?
the telephone, please help me. It's a matter of life or death.
You can try. I don't know if you'll get through.
Guys, get this. Girl over there thinks she can make a telephone call to London. What next? So she can write something down on a piece of paper, put a stamp on it, and send it to France? Oh, we're such yokels in Switzerland. Switzerland, USA, of course. Meanwhile, back at Villain Base, it looks like they forgot to dub one of Adolfo's lines.
Via I relay giroscopici 37.
As Maya gets through to Commander Cunningham.
A castle on a hill. But how far from Munich?
I love that that's the part of the story that he's most transfixed with. Like, nothing about, you know, the villainous treachery, the radiation, the submarines, the atomic nucleus, the blind people, the rug factory, the giant magnet. No, nothing about that, but my god, did you say a castle on a hill? Anyway, the magnet is switched on, rendering all machines useless, including guns, it seems. But have no fear, here's Maya leading a team of Scottish archers on horseback to the villain's lair to save Dr. Connery, who uses more of his skills to get the villains to fight each other, it seems. He does this without uttering a word, by the way, and you know, at this point, he's more X-Man than he is hypnotist. You know, there is a difference between hypnosis and psychic mind control. He's not Dr. X. There's a climax here, I don't know if it's exciting exactly, where it seems only bow and arrows and harpoon guns are of any use. Connery goes to dismantle the magnet while I try to remember exactly what the point of this villainous plan was. It was something to do with gold at one point, right? Anyway, there's a fight sequence that I honestly, unironically think is better filmed, edited and choreographed than Connery's final fight with Largo at the end of Thunderball. Both men end up shooting each other with arrows, but Dr. Connery is of course the better archer, hitting Thea's heart and killing him. The castle is destroyed in some pretty impressive model work, and the effects of the magnet are no more.
It's working again!
Ah yes, truly the happiest of happy endings, as all firearms are once again made usable. Wait. Dr. Connery seems to get first dibs on Thea's yacht, where he hypnotizes Commander Cunningham into buggering off, so that he can presumably bang Maya as our favourite singer returns to sing us out. So that's okay, Connery, Operation Kid Brother. You know, I love how crazy the movie industry used to be. This is just not something you'd ever see in modern times. It's not like Daniel Craig's sister is going off to star in her own spy adventures, or Roger Moore's son, you know, starring in The Man with the Golden Gun Jr. Neil Connery is, it's kind of hard to evaluate his performance, because it's so obvious that he's cast here purely because of his name and nothing else. He was reportedly cast in the film after a producer read a story in a newspaper about Neil losing his tools during his job as a plasterer in Edinburgh, and decided to make this film with him. Apparently there were lots of Eurospy Bond-esque movies being made around this time, and I guess this is one of the more well-known, and largely because, well, of the novelty of it being Sean Connery's brother. And it is the novelty that makes this film watchable above all else. I mean, you know, it's not an excruciating movie to watch. It is very watchable. The supporting cast of Bond regulars really help things. It's actually quite a delight to see the lovely Lois Maxwell feature prominently in a spy adventure. She gets to do some location work, wield a gun, kick some ass. If I have one personal complaint about this movie, it's that she should feature much more, especially during the climax. Apparently, according to Lois herself, Sean Connery was quite pissed off with her and Bernard Lee for a while after this movie was made, but later came around to thank them for supporting Neil and helping this film be, well, something of a success. This might go some way to explaining further why Connery looked so pissed off with everyone and everything in You Only Live Twice. Bernard Lee, Daniela Bianchi and Anthony Dawson are all great and give good performances, which is nice. These people were giving this movie their all and not just treating it like a paycheck. But for me, Adolfo Celli is the real standout. I have never liked Largo from Thunderball as a villain. He has always been one of my very least favourite Bond baddies, and I attributed a lot of that to Celli for a while, but however, in this film, I love him. He's such a funny and campy villain in this thing, almost enough to rival Charles.
Jump to the left.
Gray in the camp department. But none of this makes up for the fact that Neil Connery can't act for toffee, not even whiskey-infused fudge. The whole Dr. Connery character is really bizarre too. I don't know why the idea of him being a hypnotist, plastic surgeon, lip reader archer was decided as being the best background for this character, but it sure is crazy. And, well, performance-wise, not to be rude or anything, but Neil Connery makes George Lazenby look like, Laurence Olivier. Okay, I do have to applaud the film and its visuals, actually. The set and costume departments obviously spared no expense, and the money is definitely up there on screen. The direction seems competent, and there are pretty shots throughout, but where the film ultimately fails is its incredibly convoluted and hole-ridden script. I completely lost track of what was going on at so many parts, and even after 3 full viewings of the film in a short space of time for the purposes of this video, I'm still not entirely sure what was happening. It's a ridiculous film, no doubt, and it's certainly not going to be to everyone's taste, but, I think if you have a load of willing friends and a couple of bottles of vodka, it's a fun movie to sit back, have a couple of drinks and take the mickey out of as it unfolds in front of you. There's also a super funny Mystery Science Theater 3000 episode where the characters poker a lot of fun at this movie. I totally recommend that if you don't have the patience to sit through the actual movie. You still get a sense of the insanity of the film, along with some funny commentary to keep you entertained in the MST3K video. So I would recommend that if this film isn't really your cup of tea. And so that's it for OK Connery. Perhaps mercifully a sequel to this film was never made, meaning that Neil Connery's acting career briskly faded away into obscurity, leaving behind this movie as a curious and morbidly entertaining novelty for Bond fans like you and I to discover decades after the fact. I'm Calvin Dyson, saying so long for now, Bond fans.